Sarah Connor.
What? No.
Sarah Connor.
I said no.
Sarah Connor.
Okay, fine. I'm Sarah Connor. Oh, shit. Welcome back to the Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris, that's Bill, and today we are watching The Terminator from 1984, I think.
No, you got it right.
Yes, I did get it right. So, Bill, what did you think of The Terminator?
What did you think of The Terminator?
I really like it. It's a quieter movie than I remember it to be, but I guess the best way I could describe it is it's the most 80s movie that ever 80s that I've seen in a long time. And that just could be because of all the like synth music in it that I was just like, oh shit, like this is the actual music in this movie. I thought people just made music videos of Terminator with synth music, but that's how it actually sounds.
Yeah, I would say one of the most dated aspects of this movie is the soundtrack.
I guess, but there's modern synth music now too.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't hear it in movies though.
Also, you know, compare it to like the Terminator 2 version of the theme with the more emphasis on the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Like that's so much more iconic, and you don't have that here.
Yeah, it's also one of those things that I kind of realized I was watching this movie. Every time I think of Terminator, it might have been just Terminator 2.
Makes sense because that was the big one.
Yeah.
That one was like crazy popular and successful, especially when we were kids. Like that was still lingering, and that was the one I saw first.
Yeah, I think I saw that one first too.
And I'd always heard a little, like, you know, they talked about the first movie and the second movie, and like hearing about like, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the bad guy in that one. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And I think I also kind of shied away from it because this is kind of a horror movie to a degree.
It is.
It's a slasher movie with a robot.
Yeah. And I would say like the horror elements definitely come into more play, like kind of at the end a little bit, but I don't know, I guess throughout most of it, but I didn't really feel like too creeped out by the Terminator.
No. There's an element of suspense to it because you know, oh, this is dangerous. It's like it's an action thriller, kind of.
I guess if you don't know what the Terminator is,
you were born more recently. And the Terminator is this weird franchise that keeps getting movies that none are connected and they're all bad and nobody likes them.
That's true. Except for these first two.
Yeah, this franchise, like, when we were kids, it was like, yeah, man, Terminator 2 is so great. It's like this amazing, great thing. The Terminator franchise was so popular, beloved, and now it's like a fucking joke.
Yeah, it's mainly because they've, like, restarted and started again. And to be fair, I have not seen Dark Fate, but I've never watched a Terminator movie that I flat out hated, which is weird to say. I even enjoyed Genesis for the flaws, but, you know.
I enjoyed that movie until I realized it had a post-credit scene, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I didn't like that part.
I mean, I remember seeing that movie, being like, yeah, that was okay. I hope they don't make another one.
Yeah.
And then they made another one, but that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Well, this is the first Terminator movie. It's the one that started all this. Early on in Arnold Schwarzenegger's career, but I think he had done like some stuff before.
He had done Conan.
Yeah.
You know, that was sort of like his first kind of biggish role, but this is the one that launched him.
Yeah,
really.
I don't know how true it is, but I think I read something that when Arnold Schwarzenegger was approached to do this movie, they wanted him to be Kyle Reese, and he's like, no, I should be the Terminator.
I've heard versions of that story too, because they wanted the Terminator to be more unassuming. At one point, they were talking about, you know who'd make a good Terminator? O.J. Simpson.
Oh, man.
But, you know, maybe that doesn't work because, you know, he's just such a nice guy.
Whoa. Boy, this movie would have aged definitely differently.
Oh, yeah.
That movie would have hit way different if that came out.
Oh, my God. There would have been no T2.
man. That's wow, holy crap. But yeah,
Supposedly the impetus of this was James Cameron had a nightmare
okay.
being like pursued by I guess a robot, and he was like, "Holy fuck, that was nuts! I gotta make that into a movie."
It's a great premise. It's a killer robot comes from the future to kill somebody to stop something from happening.
It's both complicated, but it's so simple too.
Yeah, it's a premise that's been copied from many things now.
Multiple Terminator sequels.
Yeah, multiple Terminator sequels, just things in media. Like, I don't know what came out first, but the X-Men has their dark future with robots, and I'm like, I don't know if that came out first or this came out first.
Well, apparently X-Men Days of Future Past came out in 81.
Okay.
So that predates Terminator, even though it feels like it's inspired by it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe.
Especially because it's a better future involving robots.
Yeah.
Man, James Cameron present day would be so mad that someone would accuse him of ripping off a superhero story.
Oh, man.
He's so salty about those superhero movies.
He definitely is. But he's a good filmmaker.
Especially when he's trying.
Yeah.
Especially with the story.
I wish he wasn't so salty. It's like you're kind of hurting your own movies, buddy. Just shut up. Let your movies do the talking.
Yeah, you don't have anything to prove.
Yeah. You made Terminator, you made Titanic, you made True Lies. I mean,
Avatar made so much money.
Made Avatar. It's fine.
Why are you so thin-skinned?
Yeah.
You sit on a throne of money.
Yeah. You have a submarine. Who has a submarine?
James Cameron does.
But so many things. Even Dragon Ball copied Terminator, blatantly copied Terminator in a insane way. But it's leached in so many popular media. But the first movie, it's really good. It's a really quiet movie, though. I mean, not quiet in the way where there's not loud sounds and a lot of people get shot. In fact, there was a lot of gun violence in this movie. I was like, holy crap. Terminator shoots a lot of people.
He kills an entire police station.
Yeah. It's probably the best scene in the movie, honestly.
It's one of the most famous, especially because that's the origin of
I'll be back.
Yeah. But I really like the Terminator. It's, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He barely talks, but he's pretty scary. He's just this very methodical killing machine. Beginning of the movie, he comes through the portal, kills those two punks, I guess is the best way to describe them.
80s punks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs clothes. He needs to blend in, and the only way he can blend in is to have pants.
Yeah, definitely. And he gets the page from the phone book and just starts killing ladies named Sarah Connor.
It's like, the Sarah Connor I'm looking for is in this city. There's 3 Sarah Connors in the phone book. I'll kill them all till I find the right one.
It is pretty crazy that's kind of how he goes, and he doesn't exactly know what Sarah Connor looks like or anything. He's just
No. Because none of those records survived nuclear war.
Yeah, I do wonder if Kyle Reese didn't come through the future, would the Terminator just kill all the Sarah Connors in this city and then just be like, well, just to be careful, I guess I'll just kill all the Sarah Connors throughout America.
I don't know, because they don't really get into stuff like that, but I've seen in other Terminator media, the TV show that they made several years back, that a Terminator will fulfill its programming and then kind of just go into a shutdown mode.
Okay.
Or if maybe it has a secondary program, all right, I got rid of John Connor, now I got to get rid of the next most highest person on the human command or something like that.
Okay, cool.
So it could have potentially backup programmings, or it'll just go hide in a bunker somewhere and we'll just wait for new orders from Skynet in 40 years.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but Terminator, he's super scary and he's super cool at the same time. But he's very scary in this movie. And I'm trying to think of some of the moments that I remember most of the Terminator. I guess the one moment I always think of is when he cuts out his eye when it gets damaged.
Oh yeah.
And I was just is that head that they have with the like robot eye. I was just like, that looks like it's like an animatronic
It
like,
was.
Arnold Schwarzenegger head.
It was.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad for this movie didn't have a crazy high budget, but it still had fucking Stan Winston.
That's true. I think some of the future stuff looks a little like Power Ranger-y when they're in the future with like the ships flying by and stuff. I was like, huh. Like I guess that was cutting edge when this was made, but I was like, this looks a little dated compared to like modern stuff now.
I mean, like you said, very low budget, and
Yeah.
I felt very claustrophobic to me, but I think that made them more scary because it's just like this is just hell. This is just horrible. This awful place. Just death, skulls, and just a giant robot tank chasing me.
Yeah.
Shooting lasers.
I think the best like scene in the future is the one where like he's in that like bunker with all the people.
Yeah.
And then there's like the infiltrator Terminator.
Yeah.
And like he starts shooting people in the bunker. It's like, okay, like that's like the first of like, oh, like damn, like this is like the human cost of like, or at least what's left of the humans in the like grim future after Judgment Day.
You just see all these they're alive, but they're broken.
Yeah. But I guess like the main thing is Terminator comes to the future, kills Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor's a lady working at a restaurant, and a guy named Kyle Reese comes from the future to save Sarah Connor so John Connor can exist to lead the resistance. And that's kind of it.
Pretty much, it's chase movie to a degree.
Yeah.
We're just like they're on the run. There's that great moment though early on when they get grabbed by the cops, and like the cops are hearing his story and be like, "This guy's fucking crazy."
Yeah. I'll say that scene in the police station where like Kyle Reese is like screaming like at the camera like about like the future and stuff. It's like a really good scene.
Yeah.
Where like the one psychologist like just like doesn't believe him.
Because why would he?
Yeah.
I mean, people rant and rave about crazy nonsense like this all the freaking time.
Yeah.
The world's gonna end. I was abducted by aliens.
Yeah. But that scene is really good. Like it works really well because like it you see it on like the closed circuit TV.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just something about it. It's just like the framing and everything just seems so cool.
And you got Sarah Connor, she's just in shock and traumatized at this point.
Yeah.
She was almost killed by the Terminator. Her roommate and friend were killed, and her boyfriend is dead.
Yeah.
Like, she's just like, doesn't know what to think. She saw this guy get shot with a shotgun like 7 times, and he got up with no problem.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, it was Kevlar. It had to have been Kevlar.
Yeah.
He was definitely not a robot. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they even show her like the vest and everything. But I guess like even before that, like I do like how they set up like Sarah Connor's like little quirks. Like she has a pet iguana that keeps like escaping from like a cage. It's like a weird detail, but like it's just like a thing that's just like, that's kind of fun.
And it leads to a cheap jump scare fake out.
That's true, yeah, because it knocks stuff off of the shelf when the one lady's making a sandwich. But yeah, it is weird that the Terminator like double kills people. He like shoots the one lady that answers the door, and he doesn't just shoot her once. He just like keeps shooting her.
He has to be sure.
I guess, but he's like a machine. You think he would be able to scan?
Well, I mean, look, you shoot somebody once, they fall on the ground, they're probably not dead yet. So he shoots her again in the head.
I like to think that the Terminators are programmed on purpose to be as like malicious as possible when they kill somebody.
Yeah, shoot it a bunch of times because it'll definitely be dead after like 5 shots.
Because even at the beginning when he has no gun and he just like walks up to the punks being naked, he rips the one guy's heart out Mortal Kombat style.
Just a whole bone.
It's just like, holy crap, that's right, rated R.
Yep.
I mean, I think T2 might be rated R too, but
yeah.
Growing up watching these movies on TV, you kind of forget these details. And then it's just like, oh man, this is a very different movie than I remember it to be.
Yeah. Unless you're like me and like, we rented it from Blockbuster. Or, oh God, he's ripping the flesh off his arm.
That's not even the weirdest part. I think just rips out a man's heart.
Well, I'm thinking of T2.
Oh yeah. That's true. Arnold Schwarzenegger is really good in this movie. Even though he doesn't talk, it's kind of like he's just so like large and intimidating. He almost like is like anti RoboCop. Like it kind of reminds me a little bit of like RoboCop with the way RoboCop walks, except like it's definitely its own thing. But that
Yeah.
like, stoic, perfect posture, walking into places. I mean, it's iconic. Leather jacket, the two guns, the sunglasses.
Yeah.
I mean, that police scene too, where he just like walks up and he's like, "I'm a friend of Sarah Connor's," and they're like, "You can wait." And then he like looks around to see if like, what the dimensions are, and then he says,
I'll be back.
and then like crashes the car into the, police officer there and just
Yeah.
kills the whole police station.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Is smart enough to go for the power, rips the power out, so they're in the dark, but he can see fine.
Yeah. I do like the Terminator's, I guess the best way to put it is Virtual Boy vision, where he sees in like red and black graphics.
I like that we get to see like him like in real time pick a response. He's like, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing you bring up too, because when he's in the apartment, it's like the Terminator was smart enough before he started killing people to make his own like safe house in a weird way. Because he has like stuff there, like he has all the supplies he needs to like cut open his arm. He has like a gun under the mattress and stuff.
Hey, got all those guns from the shop run by the guy from Gremlins.
Yeah. One thing that also like freaked me out too is when that guy knocks on the door to Terminator's apartment and he says it smells like a dead cat in here. I'm like, I never thought of it, but they say he's a metal skeleton with like organic flesh on top.
Yeah.
So does that mean he's like rotting?
I mean, his injured parts probably are.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, that's like a weird dimension that I never thought of, like where it's just like he's this like crazy killing machine that also is like a rotting corpse that smells bad too.
Maybe. It's also possible that that's just the dead body of maybe the person that actually has that apartment.
That too, yeah. That's
a possibility,
like
but I think-
unseen detail.
I think it is just like the damaged flesh is just rotting.
Yeah.
That he's probably just like ripped it off, threw it to the side, left it there because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Because he's a robot.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's weird too. Like the whole like love story between like Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese. It's like kind of weird. Like it's like almost like John Connor knows that his dad is Kyle Reese and sent him into the past so he would exist. So it's like a weird detail that it's just like, weird. It's like a time loop type thing.
Yeah, this entire movie is built on a time loop. They even flesh it out a little bit in the second movie, but there's a deleted scene from right at the end where after the Terminator is destroyed, we find out that factory is a Cyberdyne factory and we see the parts of the Terminator being recovered.
Oh, man. So it's even more like a cause and effect
Yes.
type of thing.
Because as we do find out in T2, it's the presence of the Terminator back then that results in the Terminators in the future.
That's insane.
It's just an endless loop.
Yeah.
It often makes me wonder, like, if the Terminator killed Sarah Connor, would he just immediately disappear and there would just be no Skynet? Would they all just be like, whoop, it's gone?
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of like, yeah, if Sarah Connor gets killed, it's like, does that dark future just get negated because
We don't know.
the Terminator doesn't blow up? I don't know. It comes into like weird time paradoxes and stuff. Like the time travel, if you think too hard about it, it's just like, hey, wait a minute.
I mean, they have pretty simple, straightforward rule of no organic matter coming back in time, or at least if it's covered in organic matter.
Yeah.
And it is just it's a basic time loop,
Yeah.
It does seem like one of those things, just like there's nothing you could have done, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. It's weird.
I mean, that is eventually the route the series takes. It's like, look, you can keep trying to change the future, but it just keeps happening somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like they say, like, it's a fixed point in time. It can't be changed for some reason.
But it doesn't have to be fixed. It's just like, you can move, it'll happen. You can move it, but it'll happen.
Yeah. It's weird. It's also interesting how this movie works pretty well on its own without even like having like a sequel bait thing. Because
No.
it's like you kind of know like where it's going because
I mean, they also pretty much tell you that the humans eventually won in the future because of John Connor.
yeah, because Kyle Reese says like the machines are pretty much defeated. We destroyed their defense net. Like this is the only reason why they sent a Terminator through time is because they're desperate.
Yeah.
Like, but the war is already won.
So yeah, so it's like there is no real need for a follow-up because like theoretically the story's over because Sarah Connor lived and humanity wins in the future.
Yeah. It's also interesting that they set up Sarah Connor, you know, her future is that she became like a badass because of her interactions with the Terminators in the past. And she raised John to, you know all this shit about like weapons and stuff. And after the nuclear, Judgment Day, he was the one that like taught everybody how to fight again.
Yeah.
Which is like a weird detail that I didn't think was in like the first movie. I thought like Sarah Connor, I mean, and she mostly is just like a regular girl in this movie, and then in the second movie, she's like a gun-toting like a badass.
So we kind of see the beginnings of that in
Yeah.
this because one, we see her making like pipe bombs with Kyle.
Yeah.
And even by the end of the movie, when we see her driving away in the truck, she's got that like 1,000-yard stare that she has in like T2. This is already a damaged woman who's like, I'm going to be your mother and I'm going to learn every way I can kill, just maim and destroy.
Yeah. It's kind of messed up.
Oh yeah, she gets completely destroyed by this mentally.
Yeah.
There was also another kind of cutout subplot I saw because I watched the whole compilation of deleted scenes that kind of carries over into part 2 where it's mentioned that she finds Cyberdyne in the phone book. She's like, if we blow them up, this stops the future, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of, there's like some cut stuff that implies that that's also what they're building the pipe bombs for. Like, fuck it, let's go blow up Cyberdyne.
Yeah.
And we eventually find out in T2 that she got arrested for attacking a computer factory.
That makes sense.
So she probably was like, I'm gonna blow these motherfuckers up. If I
Yeah.
could stop it now, I'll try.
It's cool. Like, I think like one thing I really like about, the end of this movie is when, they're trying to defeat the Terminator and he's just so unstoppable. But like they blow up like the gas truck and all the skin melts off and
Yeah.
then he's just like the skeleton. And I was just like, oh, that's cool. Like something about like killer robot metal skeletons in the future hunting people. It's like so ridiculous, but at the same time, it's just like such awesome imagery. Like he comes through like the flames and he has like the glowing red eyes.
Yeah.
And since he's like stop motion, the way he moves is just like so like weird and creepy too.
He also might be slightly hurt, so it looks like he might have like a bit of a limp.
Yeah. I do like too where he's the skeleton, Kyle Reese throws the other napalm bomb. You think he's finally dead, but then he's just like a torso with arms, and he's like still trying to hunt like Sarah Connor at the end, and it's like, oh my god, it's like
that's the slasher in this movie because it's
Yeah.
like every time you think it's done, oh no, because it's like, oh we blew up the Terminator. Oh shit, it's a skeleton now.
Yeah.
We blew up the skeleton. Oh shit, it's a torso.
Yeah, like he's just like so relentless. Like like the Terminator will never stop unless it like fulfills its mission.
You have to completely destroy it.
Yeah.
Like even if it was just a head, that head be like.
Yeah, that would have been insane. But he gets crushed in the hydraulic press, of course. But even while he's being crushed, he's like reaching out, trying to get
Yeah,
out. It's just like, oh my god.
It has very little self-preservation in
Yeah.
it. It just must fulfill programming.
Yeah, I mean the design of the way the Terminator looks as the metal skeleton, it's so cool. It's so ridiculous though, but like it's just so badass.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god. Like, that like dark synthwave future. Like this starts all that. Like you see all these like synthwave albums, they always have like the dark future with like these metal skeleton robots on like the cover and stuff. You see all of, like those music videos online that are awesome where they put different synth music to like Terminator shit. And it just fits so well.
Wonder how many artists got inspired by just seeing a guy with the one robot eye glowing red.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing. It's just like It's like, so does Terminator predate Cable? Because Cable kind of has that going on, because he's got like the one cybernetic eye, and
I would say it definitely predates Cable.
yeah, and even like the Terminator part of his arm is like messed up, so you can see like the metal and stuff. So it's very much like this started so much imagery and like sci-fi and comic books and everything. It's amazing that Days of Future Past actually came out before this.
I know, right?
But this is definitely the more like famous dark future with like robots that took over the world.
Because it was a movie.
Yeah.
Reached a much wider audience.
Exactly.
I mean, I would argue that the future we see in the Days of Future Past movie owes a bit more to Terminator than it did to the comic.
Yeah. I mean, even like movies like The Matrix are pretty much like Terminator.
Because it's robots took over the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of like science fiction books written before Terminator that were about like robots that took over the world.
There was some stories that were like very similar to this, apparently, that they had to credit some other writer about it.
Okay.
Because it comes up like right at the end. I forget the name, but there was some kind of, oh yeah, I might have been influenced by this. Probably should acknowledge that.
Yeah, which is fair,
I mean, I think they were also like legally forced to.
But I think like, the metal skeleton thing though, like that's kind of
it's iconic.
All them and like
that the look of the T1 or whatever, the T800, whatever you want to call it, from like this movie and the second movie, that's just iconic.
Yeah.
Like you look at like the Blu-rays and DVDs and posters of the Terminator, if it's not Arnold's face, it's that face, or it's split down the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I don't know what else to add about like Terminator. It's hard when it's like such an iconic movie. It started so many things. It didn't intend to, but it started a long-running franchise that is unfortunately struggling. I mean, yeah, I would say Terminator 2.
Great.
It's great. Arguably like one of the best movies ever made. Maybe we'll make a video about Terminator 2 one day, because definitely deserves its own video. I think Terminator 3 is pretty good too.
That one's fine. It's got its moments.
And then, Terminator Salvation. It's been a while since I've seen it. I remember enjoying it. Everybody knows it because of the Christian Bale rant.
Credit to that one for actually doing something different.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a Terminator movie where someone is sent back in time to protect somebody and someone's sent back in time to kill somebody. They actually did something different. They were trying to move the series into the future war, which I think was the right idea.
Yeah.
And then they made Genesis, which was, I think they were trying to do the weird Star Trek 2009 time travel reboot.
Yeah.
That didn't really work.
Yeah.
And then Dark Fate tried to do the whole let's ignore all the sequels we don't like thing that like the Halloween movies keep doing.
Yeah.
But when you've had two previous failed movies, you got to really knock it out of the park. But they just did the same thing again, and nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
And the people that did see it, a lot of them were mad because they killed John Connor in the first 2 minutes.
It's weird. But yeah, just
a trilogy of failed trilogy starters. It's kind of impressive.
It is.
I don't know how they did that.
Who knows? There might be another Terminator movie one day.
I don't think that's happening anytime soon. They have no goodwill left. There's nothing more they can do. Though I think I heard they're doing some kind of TV thing.
Okay.
It might be animated. I don't know if it's actually happening.
I've never seen the Terminator TV show, but I remember people saying that Terminator TV show was really good.
I watched all the first season and part of the second season. Circumstances resulted in me not being able to watch it, but what I saw was pretty good.
Yeah.
They were doing something a little different. Yeah, it was still had John Connor. He had a Terminator protector. There was a Terminator sent to kill him, but other stuff was happening too. They encountered a Terminator that sole mission was to just like gather supplies and hoard them because the material, whatever it was scarce in the future.
Okay.
They were leaning into this notion that like the future war was also evolving into kind of a time war, which I guess is what Genesis was trying to do, but did it badly.
Yeah.
I think the problem was it just simply was this was a show kind of before its time in terms of like genre television really becoming more popular.
It's true.
Also, it aired on Fox, and Fox was always notorious about not giving shows a chance.
Yeah, seriously. That Terminator show was great.
Never saw it.
And they canceled it after one season.
Well, Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles at least got 2. And I can safely say, out of the 2 actresses from Game of Thrones that have also played Sarah Connor, that one's got the better one.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Weird.
The Sarah Connor from Genesis and the Sarah Connor from the Sarah Connor Chronicles are both from Game of Thrones.
I knew the one from Genesis is like the main girl, but...
Well, she's one of the main ones, too. She's the evil Queen Cersei.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Weird.
I know.
But, yeah, original Terminator.
It's a good movie. Some of the effects are, a little dated, but it's got a strong story, good performances from Linda Hamilton, and I don't remember the name of the guy that plays Kyle Reese.
I don't remember his name, too. It's like Michael something, but...
I don't know.
He's really good.
Yes.
Like,
he's
really good.
He's very good at playing a guy who's just like, this man's life has just been hell.
Yeah. And it's also like, he's like that guy that is like, I'm not crazy. Like, I'm telling you the truth.
But what he's saying is so insane that no one would ever believe it.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about robots.
Exactly. Killer robots from the future. But, yeah, I guess with that being said, go watch original Terminator.
Even though you probably already have.
Yeah.
And stop at 2.
Yeah, then you can watch Terminator 2, and then that's good enough.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch any of the others. It's too soon to say hasta la vista.
I'll be back.